Listen well, dear friends, as I recount to you an epic tale of love, longing, mystery, and heartbreak. The story set against the salty air and rugged cliffs of a coastal town in the year 1950. This is the story of Eleanor, an 18-year-old girl whose tender heart was captured by the fleeting presence of a sailor, a man whose visits to her humble town occurred only once every 6 months. Yet within those rare moments of his arrival, a fire was kindled in her soul, a flame that would lead her into a journey of secrets and sorrow, of passion and revelation. Eleanor was born and raised in a small, weather-beaten cottage that overlooked the vast, restless ocean. Every morning, as the first blush of dawn caressed the horizon, she would sit by the window with a cup of weak tea, watching as the sea mingled with the sky. In that quiet solitude, she dreamed of far-off places and whispered promises of romance, a world far grander than the one she knew. Her days were simple, and her life, though modest, was filled with the beauty of nature, the cry of seagulls, the rhythmic lullaby of crashing waves, and the soft murmur of the wind that carried secrets from distant lands. Then, as if summoned by fate itself, he arrived. The sailor, known in hushed tones as Captain James, was a man who seemed to have stepped out of a romance novel. With eyes the color of stormy seas and a face weathered by years at sea, he embodied the mystery and adventure that Eleanor had longed for. Every 6 months, his ship would appear on the horizon, a dark silhouette against the morning light, bringing with it tales of exotic ports, treacherous storms, and passionate encounters in faraway lands. When Captain James set foot on the dock, the whole town would stir with anticipation. Yet, it was Eleanor who felt the deepest pull. His presence, though brief, lit her heart ablaze with a mixture of hope and despair. For Eleanor, each encounter with the sailor was a collision of dreams and reality. Their meetings were brief, a stolen glance here, a whispered word there, but in those few precious moments, the world around her seemed to fade away. His voice, low and resonant, carried the echoes of countless distant lands, and his smile held the promise of adventures beyond the familiar confines of her coastal haven. The townspeople noted how Eleanor's eyes shone like polished sea glass whenever Captain James was near, how her heart appeared to beat in time with the crashing of the waves, as if the very ocean shared in her secret adoration. Yet, as much as she cherished these encounters, a shadow of melancholy always lay over her heart. For Captain James was a man of the sea, his life defined by endless horizons and the constant pull of the tide. He belonged to a world that was as elusive and unpredictable as the wind, a realm where promises were as transient as morning mist. And so, every departure left Eleanor with an aching emptiness, a longing that grew with each passing day until his next arrival. The hope of his return became both her sustenance and her torment, a bittersweet reminder of love that was as ephemeral as it was profound. As months turned into years, Eleanor's devotion deepened. The arrival of the sailor was the highlight of her life, yet also the source of an ever-growing uncertainty. Whispers began to circulate among the townsfolk, rumors of secrets and hidden lives that lay beneath the sailor's rugged exterior. But Eleanor, with her heart firmly fixed on the radiant gleam of love, chose to ignore such talk. She clung to every word he spoke, every fleeting smile, convinced that the man who captivated her was more than just a wanderer of the high seas. He was a soul touched by destiny, a living testament to the eternal power of love. Then, one fateful night, a night when the sky was a tapestry of ink and scattered stars, Eleanor's life took an irrevocable turn. It was during one of those long, languid evenings when the town lay hushed beneath a velvet cloak of darkness and the ocean whispered secrets to those who dared listen. The sailor had come to bid farewell, as he always did, his ship waiting silently at the harbor. But something within Eleanor had begun to stir, a restless curiosity, a desperate yearning to pierce the veil of mystery that shrouded the man who had so thoroughly captured her heart. Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Eleanor resolved that she must know the truth behind the sailor's silent sorrow, the source of the loneliness that haunted his eyes. Under the cover of darkness, with her heart pounding like the crashing waves against the rocky shore, she slipped away from the comforting glow of her cottage. Clad in a threadbare shawl and driven by a resolve that mingled both fear and determination, she made her way to the harbor, a place that was both familiar and forbidding. The night air was cool and laced with salt, carrying with it the distant sound of the ship's engines humming a low, mournful tune. Eleanor's footsteps were light and cautious as she crept along the weathered docks. The harbor, usually abuzz with the day's activities, now lay silent and empty, save for the looming presence of the ship. The vessel itself was an imposing sight, a grand, creaking colossus that had clearly borne the scars of many a storm. Its masts reached skyward like silent sentinels, and its decks, slick with rain, glistened under the weak light of a solitary lamp. For a moment, Eleanor hesitated at the edge of the dock, her breath catching in her throat. The magnitude of what she was about to do, steal aboard a man's ship, driven solely by the passions of her heart, dawned upon her. Yet the lure of uncovering the secrets that had long tormented her proved irresistible. With trembling hands, she found a narrow, unguarded access door at the rear of the ship, a door that seemed to whisper promises of hidden truths. Heart pounding, she eased it open and slipped into a world that was utterly alien to her. Inside, the ship was a labyrinth of shadowy corridors, dimly lit cabins, and forgotten compartments where time appeared to stand still. Every creak of the wooden floor and every groan of the ancient structure resonated like a ghostly chorus of the past. Eleanor's mind swirled with conflicting emotions, terror at the enormity of the unknown, and an overwhelming desire to unearth the story that lay hidden behind every crevice. As she wandered deeper into the belly of the ship, the atmosphere grew thicker with mystery. Faded photographs of distant lands hung on the walls, alongside maps marked with routes and destinations that spoke of adventures beyond the horizon. In one forgotten corner, she discovered a small desk cluttered with old letters and trinkets, a veritable treasure trove of memories. Her heart raced as she reached out to touch a weathered envelope, its seal broken by time and neglect. It was then that she sensed a presence, a quiet, almost imperceptible sound, as though someone else was watching her. For a heartbeat, Eleanor froze, her eyes darting around the dimly lit corridor, but there was nothing there except the unyielding darkness. Continuing her cautious exploration, she eventually found herself before a heavy, iron-bound door that seemed out of place amid the rest of the ship's rustic decor. Something about that door, its surface adorned with intricate patterns and a single, ominous lock, beckoned to her. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, she fumbled with a set of keys she had found on a nearby shelf. A set of keys that looked as if they belonged to a time when secrets were guarded with utmost care. With shaking fingers, she selected a small, tarnished key that seemed to fit the lock perfectly. The click of the key in the lock echoed in the silence, and the door slowly creaked open to reveal a hidden chamber bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. Inside, the room was a sanctuary of lost memories, a secret haven where time had stood still. On a small table lay a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age and filled with elegant, looping script. Beside it were several faded photographs, some of them showing a younger version of Captain James with a woman whose smile radiated both joy and sorrow. Eleanor's heart pounded as she picked up the journal, her eyes scanning the delicate handwriting that spoke of love, loss, and promises that were never fulfilled. With each page she turned, the pieces of a puzzle began to fall into place. A story of a love that had once been pure and passionate, but had been torn asunder by fate and circumstance. The journal revealed that before the sailor had ever set foot in her coastal town, he had known another, a woman of incomparable grace and beauty whose memory haunted him like a specter. Her name, written in ink that had faded over the years, was Clarissa. The entries spoke of a romance that was both fierce and tender, of whispered promises made beneath a canopy of stars, and of a heart that had been shattered by an unspeakable tragedy. Captain James had poured his soul onto those pages, chronicling not only his exploits on the high seas, but also the deep, abiding pain of having lost the woman who had been his first and only love. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears as she realized that the man who had so captivated her heart was not the elusive, unattainable hero she had envisioned, but a man scarred by loss, a man who had never truly healed from a wound that time could not mend. In that hidden chamber, as the weight of the revelation settled over her like a shroud, Eleanor felt a cascade of emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. Anguish mingled with compassion, desire intermingled with despair, and a profound sense of isolation gripped her soul. For in discovering the secret of Captain James's past, she had unwittingly shattered the fragile illusion of their love. All the poetry of their fleeting encounters, the hope that had soared in her heart with every whispered goodbye, now lay in ruins before her eyes. Yet even as she wept over the broken remnants of her dreams, a strange resolve began to kindle within her, a determination to confront the truth, to understand the depths of a love so painful and so pure that it transcended the confines of ordinary life. In the hours that followed, Eleanor remained in that clandestine room, poring over every line of the journal, absorbing every detail of the story that was both beautiful and tragic. The room, with its soft glow and lingering silence, became a sacred space where she could mourn the loss of a love that was never hers, and yet, in some mysterious way, was destined to shape the course of her life. With each revelation, she felt the stirrings of a transformation, an evolution of her spirit that would carry her beyond the confines of a single, heartbreaking encounter. Though her heart ached with the realization that the man she had adored was forever haunted by a past that he could neither escape nor fully embrace, she also recognized that his vulnerability was a testament to the capacity for deep, abiding love, a love that was as infinite and as tragic as the endless ocean that lay before her. In the days and weeks that followed that fateful night, Eleanor's life was irrevocably altered. The secret she had uncovered on that lonely ship became both a burden and a catalyst, a dual force that propelled her into a realm of introspection and longing. The coastal town, with its familiar rhythms and weathered charm, now seemed imbued with a new layer of meaning. Every crashing wave, every whispering breeze, every flicker of light on the tide evoked memories of that hidden chamber and the sorrowful beauty of a love that had been lost to time. Eleanor found herself wandering the cliffs at dawn, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the sea met the sky, searching for answers in the silent language of nature. In these solitary moments, she began to write her own reflections, scribbling down fragments of thought and emotion in a small diary that became her confidant. Her words, raw and unfiltered, bore witness to a soul in turmoil, a soul that had learned that love, in all its splendor and its pain, was a force that could not be contained by convention or expectation. As the months wore on, the seasons shifted, and Eleanor's longing gradually evolved into a quiet resilience. The memory of Captain James, the sailor with the haunted eyes and the secret past, lingered like a bittersweet refrain in her heart. She came to understand that the nature of love was such that its beauty was often inseparable from its sorrow. In that realization, she discovered a strength she had never known, a determination to live fully, to embrace the light even as she carried the weight of darkness within her. Though the revelation of his past had left a gaping wound in her heart, it had also awakened within her a profound empathy, a recognition that every soul is a tapestry of joy and pain, hope and regret. And so, Eleanor resolved to honor the memory of that lost love by forging her own path, a path illuminated not solely by the ghost of a romance that could never be, but by the enduring flame of her own indomitable spirit. In the quiet solitude of her existence, amidst the timeless rhythm of the sea and the ever-changing dance of the tides, Eleanor began to rebuild her life. The diary, filled with the ink of her deepest emotions, became a testament to her journey, a chronicle of a love that had been as fleeting as a summer storm, yet as eternal as the ocean itself. Her days were spent tending to the small garden behind her cottage, where wildflowers bloomed in riotous defiance of the harsh coastal winds, and her nights were filled with the gentle hum of memories and the soft lullaby of waves lapping against ancient rocks. Though the pain of her discovery would never fully fade, it became a quiet undercurrent to a life that was gradually enriched by the simple pleasures of existence. The warmth of the morning sun, the whisper of the breeze, the subtle beauty of a world that, despite its many sorrows, held endless promise. There were moments, too, when the memory of that secret chamber aboard the ship would call to her, a sudden, inexplicable yearning to return to the source of her revelation, to walk once more the shadowed corridors of a vessel that had borne witness to so many hidden truths. But with time, Eleanor learned to accept that some mysteries were meant to remain in the depths, that not every secret was destined to be unraveled. The sailor, Captain James, continued to come and go, his visits as elusive as ever, leaving behind only the echoes of a past that was forever out of reach. And while the love she had nurtured in the quiet recesses of her heart could never be rekindled in its original form, it had evolved into something more enduring, a bittersweet reminder of the complexity of life, where joy and sorrow intermingled in a dance as old as time itself. Years later, when the winds of change had softened the sharp edges of youthful longing, Eleanor would often be seen walking along the shoreline, her gaze fixed on the vast expanse of the ocean. In those reflective moments, the memory of the sailor and the hidden truths of that fateful night remained etched in her mind, a mosaic of pain, passion, and the timeless beauty of a love that was both ephemeral and eternal. The coastal town, too, carried whispers of her story, a legend passed down in quiet murmurs among those who remembered a time when the sea was a portal to dreams and the horizon, a promise of infinite possibilities. For Eleanor, the journey had been one of both heartache and profound discovery, a voyage that had revealed the fragile, indomitable nature of the human spirit. And so, as the sun dipped below the endless blue, casting golden hues upon the water, she embraced the legacy of her own story, a story that, like the tide, would continue to ebb and flow with the rhythms of life. In every tear shed, every quiet sigh, lay the evidence of a heart that had dared to love deeply, even when the price was heartbreak. And in that love, in the delicate interplay of light and shadow, of hope and despair, there shone a truth as enduring as the sea itself, that every soul, no matter how battered, carries within it the capacity to rise again, to find beauty even in the ruins of shattered dreams. So listen well, dear friends, to the echo of Eleanor's tale, a tale that spans the vast, timeless ocean of our shared human experience. A tale of a young girl whose heart, fragile yet fierce, dared to love a man whose life was as tumultuous and mysterious as the deep blue sea. A tale of passion and secrets, of joy intermingled with sorrow, of dreams that soared on the wings of hope even as they were tethered to the bitter reality of loss. And as you carry these words with you, may you find in them not only the resonance of a bygone era, but also the stirring reminder that love, in all its myriad forms, is the most profound adventure of all, a journey that transforms us, shapes us, and leaves an indelible mark upon the soul. In the gentle cadence of the ocean's song, in the soft glow of a fading twilight, in the silent communion between the heart and the vast, eternal sky, Eleanor's story lives on, a testament to the timeless dance of love and loss, of dreams and their quiet surrender. And though the sailor may have sailed on to distant horizons, his memory and the secrets of that night remain forever intertwined with the spirit of a girl who learned that to love is to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable is to truly live. May this tale, woven with the threads of passion and melancholy, serve as a beacon to all who yearn for a love that transcends time and circumstance, a love that, even when marred by sorrow, remains the purest, most haunting melody in the symphony of life.